Why do you think, despite what a nice guy you are from your friends, from what they tell, and from the experiences I've had with you, why do you think some people in the business, such as the Ric Flairs of the world and maybe Tully Blanchards and those types, always act like you were kind of undeserving and they speak about you in a negative way?
Well, I don't know Tony Blanchard at all, other than just seeing him a couple times, and if and I don't. I just said I really don't know him, but after meeting him and getting to know a little bit more about him, he was really, I don't know, he was pretty plain. It wasn't really that much about him that was great. And then Ric Flair. Now the Ric goes back to Ric Flair. I don't know why he has this uh, dislike for me. It goes back a lot to where one, where situations, Devin, like I didn't wait around for my contracts to run out. I'd go to the office and I'd go, hey man, Ric Flair is making this much. I deserve twice as much, and that's what they'd give me. So that's why, and that's just being totally honest. That's why Ric Flair hates me, because I always made more money than him, and everywhere we went, he just couldn't, And there wasn't anything wrong with him. It's just we're two different type of characters in this business. Rick is an old man, and even then he was an old man wearing a costume because he needed to wear a costume. Where again, if we go back to Ric Flair, me myself, and I'm not saying this because he says bad things about me, but Rick really isn't that great a worker. He had those 4 or 5 spots, and he wasn't a great worker with everybody. He could only work with a few people. But why they don't like me, other than probably the real thing is I had that argument and that fight with Arn Anderson, which is his best friend, and that all again started over before we went overseas. That period, I just got a huge raise, and I just went in and asked for it, and they gave it to me. So when people can't do that themselves, then you're tend to not, people don't like you. And in the most part in this business too, Devin, most people will say, man, I really like Sid, or Sid's a really cool, up straight guy and stuff like that. The people that don't like me probably had an argument with me, and I don't lose arguments. I don't lose anything, matter of fact, and so, or fights. And so when people know that and get to argument with me, then they got a different opinion. And sometimes if someone was to say something or do something, I would challenge them. So, or I would stand up and say something to them. So again, I never really did that with Rick. I always was courteous to him, other than that deal with Arn, and I'm pretty sure that's the main reason. That, and then that really that whole fight started over. We was all talking one night and said, "What's wrong with the business?" And I said, "The business is wrong." And said, because I said, "Man, I don't understand the point where everybody gets their time, and like right now." And I wasn't saying it was time for me because I was getting a great push. I mean, some other guys that were in the territory that needed a good shot in the arm. Let's give it all to. Let's give everybody a shot in the arm. I said, and even Ric Flair too. I said, but don't not give everybody else a shot in the arm because you're scared somebody's going to pass you up. Now Rick wasn't there, and that's what started the fight with me and Arn that time. So again, it's just sometimes I say the truth, and sometimes if the truth hurts, then you're not going to like me anymore. Now, if you like the truth, then you're going to like me, And I have been like that. I've changed a lot in the last few years, where I don't just say what I mean all the time. It's still hard not to do that, but I get again with people like that, and the people that don't like me, we probably had some disagreement or somewhere along the line.
And we will ask you to go into that incident more in our video interview with you, because we actually interviewed Vader not too long ago, and he told us about a 10-minute version of the story. So
this is the thing is, and I'm not going to go into it right now either.
Yeah.
But nobody knows a 10-minute version because it didn't fucking take 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It took just a couple minutes. And Vader's little fucking fat crybaby ass was in the lobby. He wasn't anywhere where the scuffle was. And I don't know where the story was, but I've heard a few people's other stories, and they're not even close. The one person I think the stories, what I've heard from people saying, it's got a close story to it, would be Scorpio. And I think he was actually looking out the door. But, he wasn't. He was just looking at the door. If he felt safe or, thought he should have stepped in and done something, he didn't. He was just watching it. Now, so that's the only person I know that had that close of a view of it. And I guarantee if you asked him to, it didn't take 10 minutes. Now,
We did
getting to the
actually ask
lobby and stuff.
Scorpio about it, and he only told us he didn't go into the details about it. He only went into about a 2-minute version and just basically said what you said he saw. That
Yeah, that's what it was, Devin. It happened so fast, and again, don't tip our hand into it or get into it right now, but it really did. It was a knock on the door. The guy came out attacking me. I hit him one time. He went down. The scissors got in my hand, and then that's the rest of the story.